In today's video, we're going to be going over all of the new PlayStation 4 game releases this week. On top of that, we've got some news on Kingdom Hearts 3 and how much content that title is going to have. And we've got a detail on a JRPG that you have to put on your radar. We just got the first gameplay of it, and it's based on a storied IP, so more on that at the end of this video. First, let's take a look at all of the new game releases this week. First up, probably the biggest game release this week, and the one that I'm personally most excited for, Chasm, is coming on July 31st. Chasm is a game that's been in development for quite a while, and it's got an awesome pixel art style, and it's a Metroidvania style game that has you explore the depths below a remote mountain town in a procedurally generated adventure platformer. It takes inspiration from hack and slash, dungeon crawlers, and Metroidvania style platformers, and it touts immersing you in a fantasy world full of exciting treasure, deadly enemies, and abundant secrets. The game also touts 6 massive procedurally assembled areas from handcrafted rooms, enjoyment of challenging retro gameplay and authentic pixel art, battle massive bosses, and discover new abilities to reach previously inaccessible areas, so your typical Metroidvania gameplay, and you'll be able to customize your character by equipping armors, weapons, and spells. For fans of old school Super Nintendo games, Chasm is going to be right up your alley. Again, it's going to be released on July 31st. Next up, we have Anamorphine. Anamorphine has you explore the past as you resolve the present. It's described as a surreal adventure of rendered emotions, journey into the mind of the main character, a young man in denial. His subconscious is pushing him to face his past or be consumed by it. The game has a content advisory saying that although the game features no combat or violence, so it's a very psychological game, it does explore themes of mental health, depression, and loss. We don't see these elements often explored by games. I know there have been some story-driven games that have explored these elements, but I always appreciate when games, instead of tackling your typical violence elements, they tackle something a little bit more sublime, and that's what we're getting out of Anamorphine. The game will be launching on July 31st. Next up, we have Castaway Paradise coming on July 31st. Castaway Paradise is going to see a lot of comparisons to Animal Crossing, and just like that game, you follow the player helping the resident animals getting the island into better shape. You repair its buildings, bridges, clear rocks and weeds. You can do other things in the game such as catching bugs, fish, collecting seashells, and garbage that washes on shore. And all of that can be traded for in-game currency. There seems to be quite a bit of depth to the game. I'm still not completely sold on it, and considering we do have games like Stardew Valley, I don't know how this one is going to fit in. Still, we'll see how it turns out on July 31st. Next up, we have Pixel Ripped coming on July 31st. Pixel Ripped is described as a wacky, multi-dimensional homage to the early days of gaming. You embark on a journey into the screen of classic video game and beyond. Set in the era of portable 8-bit consoles, this game within a game follows the adventures of Dot, an in-game character who sees her world torn apart. Torn apart by a villain able to break through the video game screen and invade the real world. Yes, it's a pretty quirky game, probably not one for everyone, but Pixel Ripped will be hitting the PS4 on July 31st. We have Road to Ballhalla. Road to Ballhalla is a game that was already released on PC back in 2016, and it had a generally positive reception over there. It does have a 75 Metacritic score, and it's described as a game where you roll and be trolled on your journey to the legendary place called Ballhalla. Follow the beat to overcome deadly hazards in sync with the music. Style your balls and marble at awful puns in the role-playing game of the year. That's role-playing with R-O-L-L. Don't think of it as a traditional RPG, probably by just checking out the gameplay you can understand that. Road to Ballhalla will be launching on August 1st. And finally, we have 1979 Revolution Black Friday, which is launching on July 31st. This is a game we already talked a little bit about, but if you haven't heard, 1979 Revolution Black Friday is a choice-driven narrative game that brings players into the brooding world of a nation on the verge of collapse. You play as Reza, an aspiring photojournalist, and make life and death decisions as you survive the gritty streets of Iran in the late 1970s. This is a setting that really hasn't been tapped into in gaming, so this is a pretty interesting title. The game's already available on PC, and it's only $5.99 over there, and it'll be launching on the PlayStation 4 on July 31st.
My part is taking pictures, not choosing sides.
Quick, grab the plans. We need to go now.
Okay. I'm a photographer.
Stand your ground!
Will you say something?
For every one they kill, we'll kill 100. Let's just get this over with.
Hi, Rizzo June. You weren't a part of that craziness today, were you?
So those are all of the new game releases this week. Not a lot of massive titles, but Chasm looks awesome, and Anamorphine is a game that I think could surprise a lot of people. Moving on from that, Kingdom Hearts 3 is finally almost here. It is going to be released on January 29th, and now we've got an idea of how much content will be in the game, and that's said to be quite a bit. Geek.com has published a pretty insightful review of playing the game, and a Square Enix PR representative explained a lot about the game. In addition to the main story, players can look forward to several mini-games. One is a cooking game with Remy from Ratatouille. You must find ingredients hidden across several of the worlds and use them to create new recipes. There are 20 different old-school Tiger Toys Game & Watch style 2D side-scrolling games based on Mickey cartoons from the 30s and 40s. Building your gummy ship is pretty much a minigame of its own. Here's where the quote gets interesting. Kingdom Hearts 3 is around 40 to 50 hours if you stay on the critical path. Including the minigames, players can expect over 80 hours of content. Now, while it does say 40 to 50 hours and as much as 80 hours of content, I always do take those hours labels with a grain of salt. I feel like the developers and publishers say a little bit more than it does take the average gamer to complete these games. I consider myself a very average gamer, and I always seem to be beating these times that developers and publishers are putting out, and with the Square Enix game, I'm expecting no different. But 40 to 50 hours for just the main story, that's a sizable amount of content, especially for a Kingdom Hearts game. Let's say it's even 30 hours if you rush through it. A Kingdom Hearts game that is 30 hours long rush through, that is very, very good. Kingdom Hearts hasn't been known as this expansive series that is composed of games that take very long to complete. If you rush through the Kingdom Hearts games, you can complete them rather quickly, but this one looks to be very, very long. Considering how long it took for it to actually be developed and be released, maybe we can take some solace in the fact that it will be a rather lengthy experience. Speaking of JRPGs, we've got news on another one, and this is one that I feel a lot of gamers need to have on their radar, and that is Digimon Survive. Digimon Survive is the latest in Bandai Namco's Digimon games. We saw Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth and Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory, and now we have a new one that is a little bit different. Based on the trailer and the gameplay we've seen, there looks to be more of an emphasis on the story, and the story is actually told like a visual novel. If you actually take a look at the storytelling elements, it's very resemblant to a game like Danganronpa, how it's told. And as far as the gameplay, it looks to be a very intuitive tactics-based RPG, so there's a lot of potential here with Digimon Survive. And considering Bandai Namco has brought all of the other Digimon games over, I would imagine that at some point Digimon Survive would also come over to the West on the PlayStation 4 and the Switch. Again, it'll be released in Japan in 2019. Hopefully it sees a Western release around the same time. So that is going to conclude this video. We went over all of the new game releases this week. The highlights definitely have to be Chasm and Anamorphine. Those two games look like they have a lot of potential, and I'll personally be giving Chasm a look. Kingdom Hearts 3 is set to have 40 to 50 hours of gameplay if you stay on the critical path through it, and then if you include the mini games, you can expect over 80 hours of content. That's a lot of content for a Kingdom Hearts game. And for you JRPG fans out there, Digimon Survive is another title you need to keep on your radar. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.